Hello and welcome back to Fallout 76. Today I am on the public test server to look at changes to the railway rifle. With the most recent public test server, there were a couple of lines in the patch notes that related specifically to the railway rifle. The first one is reduce the recoil and base AP cost for the railway rifle. That sounds great. The less recoil means manually aiming becomes easier, and the base AP cost being lower, that's also good as well. That helps you with VATS. However, the next line doesn't sound as good. Reduce the fire rate and remove the AP cost reduction for the railway rifle automatic piston receiver. So now the AP cost has gone up for the automatic version and the fire rate has gone down. Which sounds like the end of the world, but I played with this quite a bit and it isn't. So I rolled a few different versions to test, and this one is quad. Now, a note on quad, which applies to any quad weapon, not just railway rifles. Quad now comes with a minus 30% reload speed penalty. So you're gonna reload 30% slower. It doesn't really seem like it's that big of a deal, at least in practice from what I've noticed. So that's not that big of a deal, but that's not specific to the railway rifle. That is any kind of ranged weapon. That's what quad looks like now. Now, so this is a quad with extra critical damage and plus 15% reload speed. So the reduced reload from automatic or from the quad is going to be mitigated somewhat by that legendary effect. But if you look at the fire rate, it is 48. And the fire rate before, the way it is on the live version of the game right now, is actually 75. So that works out to a 30% or 36% reduced fire rate, which is fairly significant. And I'm not going to say it's not noticeable because it is. And we will be testing all of this out by shooting things. I just want to show you the weapons I'm going to test. And the AP cost is 13. Now on the live version, the AP cost would be 7. So yeah, that is quite a bit of difference. Now, one thing to mitigate that a little bit is Thirst Quencher. On the PTS, Thirst Quencher has been changed, and now it gives you extra AP based on how much endurance you have. So you can see right there, Thirst Quencher, I have 14 endurance, so my AP, I'm getting an extra 70 AP. So it doesn't completely make up for the increased cost of the railway rifle, but it does help quite a bit. And it only costs you 1 perk point. So I think that's well worth it. So here on the crafting bench, you could see, now this is the semi-automatic version. So a railway rifle on the PTS has an AP cost of 15. That is the base AP cost. On the live version, it is 20. So if you're running as a semi-automatic, this is actually a big improvement. So your AP cost went down by 25%. And then with the reflex sight, that reduces it by 2 more. So you can get it down to 13 without the legendary effects. Now here I have one. This one I'm not going to be testing because it's a Berserker's, but it is one that I had in my stash. I rolled quite a few railway rifles and I wasn't able to get one that had reduced AP cost just to see what it would look like. So this is one I actually had already. And you can see the AP cost is 9. So the AP cost is still, I mean, it's not crazy high, but it's not super low like it was before. On the live version of the game, the AP cost on this weapon is 2, which is just, I think that's pretty ridiculous for as much damage as this does to have an AP cost of 2. So now we have something that's a little more, I think, reasonable. People may not be thrilled with it, but it's still, I don't feel like it gets in the way at all. But if that fire rate of 48 is too low for you, you could actually get one that has 25% weapon speed, like this one. It's anti-armor with extra weapon speed. I was hoping to get quad with weapon speed to get that combo, but I rolled about 100 of these or so, and I just never got that combination. So I'll actually be testing several different versions. But you can see the fire rate is 70, which is not that far off from the 75 of the normal fire rate on the live version of the game. So it is still quite a bit different, 70 versus 48. But 70 actually feels very similar to what you get with a regular fire rate on the live version. And then I have this one. It is Aristocrats with plus 50% critical damage and plus 2 endurance. Plus 2 endurance is actually good because of that perk card I'm using. Plus 2 endurance means I'm going to get a little more extra AP when I use this weapon. So here's the build. You could pause it right here if you want to have a look at it. That's not really the point of the video, but I am using commando perks. This is a commando character, and I am using critical hits. I'm not using food buffs for extra damage. I normally would use Blight Soup, but food buffs are acting kind of strangely on the PTS right now, so the only thing I'm using is Company Tea for extra AP regen. Other than that, I don't have any other food buffs going. But I am using Eagle Eyes for extra critical damage, and I do have Bird Bones for extra agility, which gives me extra AP. And I'm not going to sneak for the test. I don't want to have sneak attack damage, anything like that. I'm really just this is kind of a base case. So in reality, you should be doing better once this rolled out if you're using sneak, if you're using food buffs, but let's see how we do here. So there's the fire rate. I mean, it's still pretty quick. I mean, obviously it does feel different. I'm not going to say it doesn't feel any different at all. It does. It feels quite a bit different, but the nice thing is I think with the fire rate now, you don't end up with really wasted, much in the way of wasted shots where you're waiting for the server to catch up. See, we're still doing okay. We're still registering big numbers. There's the reload. Now that isn't, I do have the legendary effect of faster reload, so we're not getting the complete debuff. And VATS has been acting kind of funny when I'm testing this. I'm having a lot of shots that aren't registering or aren't hitting, so there's a little bit of that to battle as well. But so far, I'm not. It still feels very. The damage is very high. I mean, basically, right now we have a weapon that's got the same AP cost as, say, a laser gun. I mean, it's very similar to that, but the damage is a whole lot more. So for as much damage as this does, the reduced fire rate just, I don't know. I'm not finding it to be that big of an issue. Now, if you're used to soloing bosses with, AP cost of 2 and an insane fire rate, you'll notice the difference. But for most things, I'm not noticing much of a difference at all. All right, so now we're going to try this one. This one is anti-armor with weapon speed. So now we're going to get a fire rate of 70 versus the 48, but we only have 10 rounds, so we will be reloading more often. So let's see how that goes from this distance. All right, pretty good. Half the ammo, but I feel like some of those shots missed. I'll be honest, I haven't used the railway a ton in the live game, so it doesn't feel super accurate on the PTS. Now, I think that some of that could be just due to, server latency, things being a little bit buggy, but overall, this still feels pretty good. Doing that reload. Now, one thing I will say about the slower reload, because I do have an Aristocrats we'll try here in a bit, with just the normal fire rate, not slower reload, the slower fire rate rather, is that I think it actually does bring more, a lot of damage there. It does bring more things into play, where you don't have the insane fire rate. I think you become more efficient. That is one thing, when you have the high fire rate weapon, a lot of times you're still firing and the enemy has already died. The server just hasn't caught up yet, and so you keep firing longer than you need to. And I think with the slower fire rate, what happens is the server has an easier time keeping up. And this is faster fire rate actually feels pretty good on this now. It doesn't feel too fast like it does, at least to me. I know some people really like faster fire rate on the live game. For me, it always feels a bit too fast, like I'm just wasting a lot of shots, and I don't feel like that's happening now. But yeah, this one actually feels really good. Anti-armor, there we go. Someone up there, and he's dead as well. All right, this one I'm doing now is the Aristocrats with extra critical damage and +2 endurance. So that +2 endurance is equal to, that's another 10 AP. So not a ton, but still a little bit of extra AP from the weapon is pretty nice. And those shots all seem to miss. So that's happening as well. But this is back to the normal fire rate of 48. Usually there's other things around here. Maybe. I saw Mirelurk Kings somewhere and I hear shooting, so I know that there's something way over there. All right. Let's shoot the head. Everything's running away. And I think it's better for me to chase it down and kill it than have it show up later all angry and stuff. But yeah, that worked out so far. I mean, so far this isn't not a lot of drama involved with this gun. It's working out pretty well. I like the railway rifle. I don't feel like it's been ruined by any stretch of the imagination. Take care of him. Let's see how we do against a Mirelurk Queen. Now they tend to be tanky. A lot of shots. I'm not sure. I think only about half the shots connected. And I'm just finding that a lot when I've been testing these weapons, is that, but you can see the damage numbers. I mean, that's one thing that doesn't seem like it's been touched at all, is that it still does big damage. So, and that's really what this is all about. It still does big damage, and I'm not noticing at all in terms of the extra AP cost. I'm really not noticing it at all. I haven't run into any situations where I'm just, completely out of AP and I can't keep shooting. So I think the only time you're going to notice that is maybe against a boss, when using a quad and you're just staying in VATS forever. That's when you'll notice it. But against most enemies, so far, it hasn't been an issue even a little bit. All right, let's go back to the quad for the minions, the dragon and the minions test. Let's see. Let's do some body shots just so we can get some hits. We do enough damage, we should still be able to finish stuff off. Yeah, you can definitely, when you do a sustained fire, you can definitely tell the difference with the fire rate. But I don't know. Honestly, I'm actually okay with it. It lets me waste less ammo. Now against something like this, you know, a big target, faster fire rate definitely is something you probably want just so you can kill it quicker, but against most enemies, or if I'm firing short bursts anyway, it's not that big of a deal. And you can see, I mean, you can see this was no drama at all. This was still very easy quad railway rifle. You could argue that there could even be better stars on it to make this a better weapon. But overall, I'm not. These changes, I don't mind them at all. Now, keep in mind, this is just an early look. This is subject to change. I mean, it's going to be a couple of months before this makes it to the live server. So the way it looks now may be different than the way it looks when it comes to live. It may be exactly like this. We won't know until we know. I do like the faster fire rate option versus the. It's nice to have the choice. Maybe I want faster fire rate, so I go for the, you know, and it'll be a lot easier to get the legendary effects that you want than it is currently. So I actually like having the choice between faster fire rate or kind of a medium fire rate, which is kind of the default now. I think it makes it a lot easier to kind of get the most out of every shot. So even with all these changes, I think the railway rifle is still a top commando weapon. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit one of the buttons, and I hope you'll join me in the next one. Thank you very much.